Hello everybody, it's Aaron back from Screen Stars, and I'm here once again to bring you another review for Geek Legion of Doom. And today I'm bringing you my review for the 2018 documentary I Am Paul Walker. Now, as you may or you may not be aware, Paul Walker is best known as the star of the Fast and the Furious films, who tragically lost his life 5 years ago, almost to the day, and this documentary is released pretty much to the day, the 5-year anniversary of his death. This film therefore explores his life and his upbringing, his family, his love for his family, his love for nature and the ocean, and living life to the full, and of course his film career. Now, I've got to be honest here, guys, I'm not a huge Paul Walker fan. I didn't seek out his films when he was making films. I'm not really much of a fan of the Fast and Furious films. I've seen them all, I think, apart from the last one, which I probably will have watched eventually. You know, they don't really do it for me, the Fast and Furious films, but I understand their appeal. And I've seen a few of the other films that he's done as well. But I like a good documentary, and the tragic passing of Paul Walker was very newsworthy 5 years ago. So I was interested to learn more about him and what his life was like. And I have to say, this documentary does an excellent job of basically letting you know who Paul Walker was. And he genuinely seemed like a super nice bloke, a really nice man, and a free spirit to a large degree, like a modern day hippie almost. And an adrenaline junkie too. Like he lived life to the full, always had adventures, and for the large part it was never really that affectionate toward Hollywood and his acting career. Apart from some of the roles that he did that he was reasonably passionate about. His real passion in life was living each day to the full. He loved the ocean, he loved going out and doing like marine biology expeditions with these marine biologists, and helping people. It talks about how he went to Haiti, sorry if I said that wrong, when they went through their tragedy in 2013, I think it was. And he flew out there with some friends to help. Always willing to help, always never wanted to see anybody struggle, and every opportunity he had, he lived life to the full. He loved surfing, he loved being on the ocean, he loved driving fast cars, racing on tracks. It just sounded like he knew how to live life to me. There was quite a few things in this documentary that I never knew about him. I didn't know that Paul Walker was in the running for the Superman film that was released. I believe it was 2005, the one that Brandon Routh played, Superman. He was to the point where I was very close to getting the part potential, and his agent talks about how he was ringing him up, basically saying, "I've stood here in a cape and boots and the costume, and I look ridiculous, I don't want to do it," and he just walked out. He wasn't interested. So he basically walked away from the project. Now, I'm not saying he would have got the part, but at that stage he was probably definitely one of the strong contenders. You get a lot of people talking very passionately about Paul Walker in this documentary, the majority of which are his family, which of course they're going to talk passionately about him. And it shows clips of old footage from when he was growing up, and his brothers and sisters, and very emotional stuff, deeply loved by his family and friends. You get the director Rob Cohen that talks about him, who directed the first Fast and the Furious film, deeply cared about him. You get Tyrese Gibson talking about him from the Fast and the Furious movies, deeply affected by this man. Most notably though, you don't get an appearance from Vin Diesel, and I would have thought even if it was just a 5-minute chat, he would have made the time maybe to talk about Paul, because this documentary does indicate that they were close, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, but he doesn't make an appearance in this. It seemed like a very family orientated guy. He loved his family so deeply and he would do anything for them. And because he was such an adrenaline junkie, and all I kept thinking was the Triple X movies that Vin Diesel made would probably have been his perfect projects, I'm guessing. Just from all the stuff that he did in his personal life, he genuinely was an action adrenaline junkie. And I genuinely feel, after watching this documentary, I know who Paul Walker was, knew what was important to him, and it certainly wasn't filmmaking. That was his job, basically, that sometimes he wasn't particularly keen on, as many of us aren't, I suppose. His real passion was his family, his daughter, very, very much for, and helping where he could. So I think this is a well-made documentary, and I did enjoy it. I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10. If you're a fan of Paul Walker, you're going to love it. It's not a warts and all documentary. Not that I suspect there was many warts or skeletons in this guy's closet, because he seemed a genuinely nice person. But it was really well made, and a documentary, if it does its job and does its job well, you know more about this person by the end of it, or you know more about a certain subject matter by the end of it. And I feel as though I have learned a lot about this guy, Paul Walker, by the end of this documentary. So if you like good documentaries, it's worth a watch. And if you're a fan of the Fast and Furious films and Paul Walker in general, definitely I think you're going to get something out of this documentary, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you next time on the channel.